All right. If you guys are joining us, thank you for joining our live webinar today. I'm talking about how Eddie got his 48 unit deal. We see people popping in here. You can leave a question, leave any questions that you guys have. You can put them in the chat. We'll answer them more towards the end. But maybe to start, where are you guys all joining us from today? Let us know. Let us know how much experience you have in investing in real estate. You might see my bodyguard pop up somewhere back in here, which is a German Shepherd. I'm on the road today for a little bit of a family emergency, but still want to be able to join you guys. So yeah, we're gonna give this a couple minutes. We'll probably kick this off in about 2 minutes. I still see people jumping on. We got David from Florida, Tanner from the Redlands, California, Aaron from Madison, Wisconsin. My guest Eddie here is from Alabama.
What's up, y'all?
Alex, how you doing, man? Alan's from North Georgia. Aodihei, I hope that's how I say the name. How you doing? He's from Atlanta. Shay from Rock Island, Illinois. How you doing, Shay? Tyler's on here from Houston. Carl from Milwaukee. Carl, how are you doing, man? David Chappelle, the Dave Chappelle from Austin. Leonard Brady Jr. from Dubuque. How you doing, Leonard? Ronell. All right, how about this? Now that we've Boston, Texas, so we're from all over Atlanta. Let me know what I kind of want to know from the crowd here. How much experience do you guys have? You're welcome, Carl. Glad you could join us today. Thanks for joining us. How many of you guys have experience in real estate investing? And if you do, like, what's kind of your quick story? Just kind of share maybe like 15 words. If you can sum all that up in 15 words, that'd be great. Yeah, go follow Eddie on Instagram. He just put his Instagram on there. He's doing great things. You're going to hear all about his story. And then specifically, we'll be jumping into this 48 unit deal that he bought off market using other people's money.
Huge shout out to Orlando. One of my buddies, Orlando's in here, so huge shout out to Orlando.
Oh yeah, I think he messaged me the other night on Instagram.
Oh really?
I think that's him. I think it was last night or the night before.
Yeah.
Big fan of Eddie's, and I'm like, yeah, Eddie's the man.
Appreciate it.
Let's see. So I'm just trying to see if anyone else commented if they've got experience. So here's one of the guys that has 20 units under his belt, working to get to 75 by the end of 2023. That's awesome. Tripling in size, more than triple, almost 4xing. Reese is a commercial real estate agent, 10 years in the business. Awesome, Reese. I know you follow me on Instagram. I think we chat back and forth every now and then. Brandon, how you doing? Platteville, Wisconsin. David has 5 single-family rentals in Birmingham. Eddie, do you know David?
David.
Link up because he's moving.
I think we may have linked up. Hold on.
Danny's in Chicago. He's a GP of 50 plus units and 4 LP investments. That's awesome, Danny. Great work. Shay has 4 years of investing, 18 doors, multifamily and single family housing. Matthew Cheney's flipped over 200 houses so far. That's awesome, and he's looking to invest. That's great business to have, and then to be able to dump those back into that business, but also then to siphon off into multifamily. We'll jump into this pretty quick. I'm just going to wrap up. So Alex has 49 doors, looking to be at 100 by the end of 2023. Tyler said he's invested in land. I can't even keep up with the comments that are coming in. Joseph, 40 units sold 10 of them, managed 40 for others. Ryan has 10 units. Leonard, up to 2 single-family homes, looking to scale. Leonard, you've done awesome things too over the last few years. It's impressive what you've done. Austin, 4-unit, 4-plex in Fort Lauderdale, running his full-time Airbnb, and 1 in LA. And boy, Austin. Ronell, 20-plus doors and still pushing. And then Alan is a real estate agent. He helps buy and sell real estate, but the plan is to invest in it. That's awesome. All right, cool. Well, yeah, that being said, I think we've waited long enough. Guys, thanks so much for taking up this offer and being involved in this free webinar today. I had some unexpected news and plans, and you know how life is. It got a little shaky this morning, so we makeshift. We're using satellite internet in the vehicle I'm in right now. I know I told some of you already, but if you see a German Shepherd pop up over here, he's the security detail today. He'll probably bite your head off if you get too close. So thank you guys for joining. I'm super excited to be here with Eddie. I've known Eddie. Eddie, when did we first?
We linked up in 2018. 2018, actually, just the same things Justin's doing right now on social media. He was doing way back when. So Justin is a vet when it comes to social media and branding, and that's how we initially connected. I just saw his page on Instagram, started following him, and the rest is history. That was back in 2018.
I think it was before I even had. It was obviously before I had my book. I think it was like the first product I ever came out with was the course. I know you've gotten like every product of mine, but I think you even started following me when we started talking to stuff. I think even before I had any of that stuff. Right?
Yeah, it was before that. Yeah, it was 2018, like early 2018. I was working on a couple deals, and I had reached out to you for advice. And typical Justin, always helping people. So that really stuck with me, and I've just been following you since then, man. It's been great.
For sure. So just a couple housekeeping things too. Like I said, if there's any questions as we're going through this, throw them in the chat. If we don't answer them right away, we're going to try to keep most of the questions to the end. So if we don't answer them right away, just keep adding them to the chat, and we'll kind of scroll back through to get your guys' questions answered and circle back on any loose ends to tie up those loose ends. And then I know some of you guys are asking about this document that I have, the 20 hacks to get investors. And there's Link, the German Shepherd, in the background right now. But that PDF, the 20 hacks to get investors, we're giving that out only to people that stay for this whole entire webinar, right? And we're looking at like 45 minutes. And Webinar Jam can track your emails and stuff, so we know who's staying. So stay to the end. You want to get that free PDF, we'll email that off to you, or else there's going to be a link put in the chat for you guys to get that. We'll make sure that you get that. And today we're basically spending time. We have a little bit of a slide deck that we're going to kind of be flipping back and forth between the screen you see now, and then sometimes the slide deck will come up just to keep me on track, because sometimes, if you know me, I'm all over the place with some of this stuff, so try to keep me in the box a little bit today. But what we're really focused on is Eddie's 48-unit deal. I'm going to let him share his whole story real quick, but we'll focus on the 48-unit deal, how he bought it off market, how he bought it using other people's money, and then what his exit plan is, and all that stuff. And Eddie, what we're also going to do too is, and my internet might be spotty as we keep heading to the northern woods here. We're headed to a hospital today, so we're headed to the northern woods in Wisconsin. If I drop from the call, Eddie will be able to take over. And so that being said too, I want to be able to get this out to you guys instead of waiting till the very end. We do have a pretty exclusive offer yet. We have 9 mastermind tickets remaining for my January mastermind. That's January 12th through the 14th. So we got 9 left. And I'm going to put an offer up right now for you guys to be able to, let me just put this up right now. There we go. So now the offer should be up where you guys can actually book a free strategy call with me. You can click the link to do it right now if you want to. It'll open up another browser, so it's not going to disconnect you from this room or anything. But at any time, you can click on that to set up a free 15-minute strategy call with me over the coming week. You can schedule your own time in there and everything. And again, that strategy call is kind of the way that you can get one of the last 9 tickets to my mastermind coming up in January. Eddie's going to be at my mastermind as well. He's coming up from Alabama to join us there, so we're excited. It's going to be a 3-day live event, and it's going to be a great time. We've already sold a ton of tickets, and there's been a lot more traction there than I ever thought there would be. So super excited. Intimate setting too. We're going to have a max of 25 to 30 people there, so it's going to be an intimate setting. And but yeah, book your free strategy call. That being said, we're going to jump in. I just want to see if there's anyone saying that they can't hear me or anything. All right, so we're going to jump into this real quick. So, all right, so a deep dive. I gotta go to the beginning. I don't know why it's not the beginning. I didn't realize it wasn't going to automatically start. All right, here we go. So just real quick, I'm going to let Eddie give an introduction, and he can kind of just share a little bit more about himself. Eddie, if you want to take like 3 minutes, just kind of share like where you're at before you met me, how you got interested in real estate, then what your growth was prior to meeting me, what I've helped you do, and what you're planning on doing. If you want to just start there.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, want to definitely thank Justin for having me on here. Pleasure to meet everyone in the room. And yeah, like my name is Eddie Simonette again. I'm a multifamily investor. I'm originally from the Bahamas. So I was born and raised in the Bahamas. And I moved to the States actually when I turned 18 to initially start playing tennis. So I played tennis a little bit and then went ahead to go to college. So that's how I ended up in Alabama, because I get that question all the time, like why leave from the, the Caribbean, paradise, and then go to Alabama of all places. But it was really good to me and I enjoyed it here. But yeah, it was for school. So went to college at a small school called Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, like the same area where University of Alabama is. And I studied business administration and accounting in school. But I realized that wasn't really something I could see myself doing for, the next 2, 3, 5, 10, 30 years. So about my junior year, I was like, yo, I have to figure out something else. I have to try to like jump and try to pivot and try to find something I can see myself doing for a long term. So initially, I looked into like stocks. I looked into this thing called Forex, looked into some other things. Nothing really stuck with me. But funny as it is, I was on Facebook one day and I saw like a post that said like free real estate investing. So I was like, okay, why not? Like my folks from back home, my dad, he used to do brokerage in sales and real estate back home. My mom's side of the family, they own a lot of small rentals. So I was like, okay, what the heck? Let me see what this is talking about. And I went to that event, and it's only so much you can really learn, from someone that, is like just getting started out, like, or doesn't have like a large portfolio, but they did pretty well. The main thing from the event was networking. That's what I got from it. And basically from there, I was able to find my first mentor that I interned with while I was in college. So I was a student athlete, was working a part-time job. And then also, I was interning with a real estate agent who's also an investor. So that's kind of like how I got my start into real estate. So just fast forward, this was back in 2016, 2017. I started wholesaling real estate. And then from there, I started buying some smaller multifamily. And that kind of led me up to the point where I met Justin in 2018. So I was trying to learn how to scale up, right? So at this point, I had gotten a duplex, I got into fourplex, but I was like, yo, like, how can I get into like larger apartments, right? So just on Instagram, just trying to network and stuff. And I see Justin, this young guy around my age, and he's crushing it. He has like 200 something apartments. I was like, how the heck did he do this, right? So I just started following him and asking him questions, and just typical Justin, always like a go-giver and helpful. So I've been following Justin before he came out with the programs, before, he was at 1,000 units, and it's just been a pleasure, watching his journey. So, basically, Justin's advice really helped me to dig down and to know that, you need to get out your comfort zone. Right. So Justin always says, if you think about a hula hoop, right, and you're in the middle of that hula hoop, that's your comfort zone. You need to step out of that comfort zone to get to the next level. So that's what I did following him.
You need to jump out of it as far as you can. Is what you need to
do. Absolutely.
How old were you when you got your first property?
I was 22 or 23, about 23, I think. Yeah.
And then you were at how many units when we first started talking?
When we first started talking, I was at 6 units. About 6 units. I had done like some passive investments, so I'm not going to count those, but like about 6 units owned, managed.
And currently right now, year to date, or not year to date, but total right now, how many units are you at right now?
Right now, I'm at 130 units. And then also I started a property management company too. So that's another huge thing I did, that I got from following Justin and being in his mentorship program. He's vertically integrated. And, we share that similarity of like being in one market and really like hands-on in operations. So that's been, a huge influence for me as well. So from 6 units to 130 units, and then also starting a property management company to manage those assets too.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if we kind of take this a little bit, I'm just going to jump into the chat and see if anyone in the chat, if you guys have questions as we get going here, just drop them in the chat. We'll get to them in a bit. So if we go to this next slide here. So obviously we kind of went through how Eddie kind of heard about me. It was through Instagram, kind of heard about, some of the problems. I guess, Eddie, maybe just highlight two of the biggest problems you had going from, or trying, like when you were at those 6 units.
Yeah.
What do you think like the biggest or the 2 biggest problems you had that you had to remove? It sounded like mentorship was one of them, but what do you think were the 2 biggest problems that you had to remove to go from 6 to the 100 plus units you're at now?
I think a lot of it is mindset, and you know, a lot of people talk about that. I mean, it's the truth. A lot of it was mindset. So like in my head, it was like, okay, how the heck do you get from 6 units all the way to 30, 40, 50, 100 units? So it just starts with yourself. Like, you are your biggest opponent, man. Like, you really are. Like, you're yourself, you're your biggest opponent. So as soon as you can get out of your own way, the further along you can go. It's like watching guys like Justin, you know, that's around my age and just crushing it and like just closing deals. You know, that kind of opened my mindset and was like, okay, well, he was able to find a path, you know, maybe I can find a path too. It opened that opportunity for me to start thinking, you know, beyond what I thought I could do. Right. So that was the main challenge. Another challenge was like raising capital, right? Raising capital and finding deals. So as a young person, you know, a lot of us don't really have a huge network of like 100 investors when we first start out. Right. So a big thing is getting your name out there and telling a lot of people what you do. Justin talks about it all the time. How are people going to help you, or how are you going to get investors if you're not sharing what you're doing with anyone, right? So that's a huge thing. Like, I was telling everyone what I was doing, and that kind of opened the door for people to start partnering with me on deals too. So I definitely say, you know, get out of your own way, right? Start telling a lot of people what you're doing, you know, and then also like going out and finding deals. So you know, I didn't start with broker relationships, so I had to actually hit the pavement and find my own deals. So those are the biggest challenges starting out.
And those were my, actually, you know, and people that are watching, like Eddie and I spent zero time scripting this, whatever. We have sure the technology worked last night for like 5 minutes, and that's exactly like that matches me too. That's where I was at. For me, it was a mindset thing to get the first 4 unit that I bought, because that was the first property I bought. I was scared, to be honest, but it was a mindset thing. I had to overcome and change my mindset. And then once I bought a 4 unit, I bought another 4 unit. Then it, like, to me, I couldn't visualize, you know, that next level. Like, I couldn't even imagine back in 2012 or 13 buying a 16 unit, because it just seemed so big to me, or so foreign and so far away. And then, you know, here we are now, and in 2022 I think we closed 950 units this year. We raised $35 million capital this year in about a 90-day window. But it's so much of it is mindset, so much of it is the network, and so much of it is like, I mean, I chose to be around the people that I knew were going to lift me up. And I paid to get into rooms. I spent time to get into rooms. I read books. I poured into myself, and I learned. And then the biggest thing is you got to go out and implement what you learn, right? And so yeah, I think, Eddie, you hit the nail on the head there with what you were saying. And I think when I was just starting, that's the stuff. And now it's like the same thing for me though. Like, there's levels to it, right? So what I mean by there's levels to it is, you know, once you do a 16 unit, now like a 60 unit seems big to you. Once you do a 60 unit, and then it's like, how do you keep overcoming that? And so that's the internal challenge, and I like that challenge, but it takes help sometimes. And if you don't know, like, I was, because of the rooms that I paid to get into, the people that I hung around, the advice that I took, I was able to accomplish things in 2 and 3 and 4 years that prior to meeting some of these people, prior to doing some of these trainings, prior to getting into these rooms, like, I thought it was going to take me 25 years to get to like 300 units. That's what I thought. And so, like, there was goals I wrote down in 2012 that I had accomplished already by 2016. And then I wrote down goals that, you know, in 2017, 2018, I wrote down that prior to me writing them down and really committing to them, I thought they were going to take 20 years. And, you know, but I made a decision to say, hey, let's make this happen in 10 years. And then it ended up actually happening in 3 years. And so a lot of these things that Eddie has got on board with me, you know, he's done my mentoring, he's come to the mastermind. What I want to be able to help people do is what others help me do, which is really compress the time and hopefully remove a lot of the margin of error that you can make, right? So errors can cost you a lot of money and time. But then also, if you avoid those errors, they can also help you reach goal by removing the errors, by removing some of those issues and obstacles. You can actually take the time to achieve your goal and cut it in half, or achieve those things in 25% of the time. And that's really what I'm trying to do through my educational programs and being able to, you know, my masterminds, my online courses, my books, and all that stuff is, and Eddie's been a benefactor of all that stuff too. So yeah, that's great stuff. Here's a picture of Eddie in the 48 unit that we're going to be discussing today on the left. And then I'm not sure who the people are, Eddie, with you in that picture. I don't know if is that your
Yeah,
team?
those are some investors actually. So I was just showing the property to some investors that came in from Atlanta, and I just was giving a market tour. And that one to the right is actually the deal we just closed in November. So the one to the left we're talking about, that's the deal we closed last year, and then the one to the right is the one we just closed last month.
So what? How big was the deal you guys closed in November?
40 units.
40 units. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, those are a couple of pictures. I think that's just pretty cool, though. You know, I wanted to share those.
Yeah.
All right. So when it came to this 48 unit deal, that was an off market deal.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
So
it was.
How did you drive by it? Was it word of mouth? Were you cold calling? Did you get linked up with the guy through networking? How did you find that off market deal?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to give everyone a timeline, so I actually purchased the deal in 2021, so last year. But just to give some backstory, I live in the Birmingham, Alabama market, and I've looked at since 2017 to now probably over 500 individual apartment complexes. So that's kind of how I initially started building my database, was like just literally hitting the pavement and just driving areas. I would literally pick a zip code. I would go on Google Maps. I would map out that zip code, try to find apartments by the roofs, and then I would start using an app called EnRoute, and I would use that to drive all of these properties, right? So from 2017 to 2021, I had accumulated this list of like 500, different properties and different owners, right? So this property was in that mix. And I had driven by this property all the time. I was like, this property looks so nice. I can never really, I don't know how to buy something this big. And just, over the years, right? But then after, I started reaching out to people like Justin and just getting myself out of that inhibitive mindset of, you only could do a 4-unit or a 2-unit, started thinking bigger, right? So I had these people on the list from probably 2018, sent them some mailers, but I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and try to call them, right? So it literally was like, I just went on Google, found the name of the apartments on Google, and then they had a number to the property management office, which was an on-site office, and it was a number to the maintenance tech, right? So I literally called the maintenance tech, basically kind of like using the strategies that Justin taught me, and it was like, hey, my name is Eddie Simonette. I'm a multifamily owner in Birmingham, Alabama. I own and manage 100 units here or whatever, just made up a number. And we saw your property.
The script you're starting to go down there sounds familiar.
No, literally, I use the same exact script. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel if it ain't broke. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So I said, listen, would you be interested in, or would you be able to put me in touch with the owners? Because I want to know if they'll be interested in selling the deal in the next 3 months to 5 years. That's literally how the conversation started. And then from there, the maintenance tech reached out to the owners. But the owners didn't, they reached out to me on LinkedIn. So that was the original way that we connected. And then they basically said, we're interested in selling, but don't waste our time. Make sure you're not a wholesaler or anything. I was like, no, we want to buy the property. And then from there, we had like a phone call, and it just started the negotiation. But yeah.
So what do you think the benefits on this deal were, being able to get it off market versus it being on market, or versus another property that was on market?
Oh yeah, 100%. So it was pretty obvious. We bought this deal at a cost basis of $60K a unit, and in my market, Birmingham, Alabama, that puts you in more of like a C+, B- type area in last year's market when we bought it. So this property is an 87 vintage, really taken care of. We bought it at $60K a unit. A broker told me, after we had closed the deal, that the owners had approached them and were asking about listing it. And they said they were going to list that deal as is at around like $78K a unit. So we bought this thing off market.
So I'm doing math quick. That's basically 18,000 a unit difference spread, right?
Exactly.
So like, if it would have hit the market, it would have probably gone for 78,000 a unit.
Yeah.
You bought it for 60,000 a unit. When I do, the difference of that is 18,000. When I multiply it by 48 doors, that's $864,000 of equity that Eddie picked up for being able to pick it up off market. And that lines up directly with what we've done too. We bought 372 units back in May off market, and we saved about $15,000 a door. And when you do that, $15,000 a door times 372 units, that's $5.5 million of equity we picked up for being able to do these things, use these scripts, use the step-by-step process to be able to go out and find these deals when everyone else is competing and prices are getting driven up. We're able to go out and create some significant value for ourselves, but also for our investors. So that's awesome. I just wanted you to be able to make that point, because I knew there's a huge value component there, but it's $850,000 to you guys' benefit being able to close the deal off market.
Yeah. So for all of the listeners out there, right? So you asked yourself, right? Put in that extra work and going to drive properties. Is it worth it if you can get a property that's almost $1 million off in price, right? Like you getting a huge discount on it, and that's benefiting not just you, your investors, is getting higher returns for everyone, and then more upside when you sell it, right? So
of it, you're playing a long-term game too, right? So like, not only does that benefit you right now when things got a little bit tougher here with what's going on in the market, but it's gonna also help long term, because over long term you're still gonna be able to drive that value and increase that equity by the forced appreciation. So
100%.
And that's awesome. That's great. And for anyone listening too, I mean, this is the time right now this reminds me a lot of the time when I got started, because when I got started, people were saying, don't do deals, and that's kind of what you're hearing right now. It should be on pause and whatever. So it's a great time to be able to learn this thing and to get out and get started, because to build a pipeline, to learn and to build a pipeline out and to really understand and implement what you're doing, it takes a little bit of time, right? And I think between now and the next 6 months to 36 months, there's going to start to be a lot of opportunities. So right now is a great time that if you have very little knowledge, to get your knowledge up so you have it to implement on, because there are some fantastic deals coming. A lot of you guys that are watching right now were not able to get into the game over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years because everything was so competitive and whatever. All these big guys right now are sitting on the sidelines, and there's going to be some turmoil that comes out of this, which gives the beginners a leg up, because the beginners have less to lose. I mean, some of these guys, once they make it, they sit on the sidelines because they're scared to lose or potentially squander. If you're a beginner, you're not going to have to compete with all of those players you were going to have to compete with over the last 5 years. So these next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years are going to be absolutely huge. And there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of brand new millionaires created, and not just like Bitcoin overnight millionaires where like it can just be gone. You're going to be able to get into tangible assets that you can go touch that are cash flow producing, unlike Bitcoin, that are cash flow producing. They're going to appreciate over time, right? So, and Eddie, obviously you bought this deal and it was cash flow positive day one, right? Because that's how.
Yeah. I mean, cash flow positive day one. It was about 98% occupied, and then we also got agency debt also. So that's really, that was a real key with this deal. With the market being where it was at, this was about Q3 in 2021. At the time, the uncertainty was, COVID and a potential second shutdown. So we wanted to really choose a debt product that would hedge us from any type of potential, things going wrong in the future. So that kind of led our decision to go with an agency fixed rate loan on it, right? So just really quick high level, it was about a 70% LTV. We locked in at a 4.78% interest rate, 30-year AM. But the key thing I want to touch on is it's a 12-year term. Our interest rate is fixed for 12 years, right? So for 12 years, that interest rate stays at 4.78. But our whole time is
a really long runway to have a long. The bigger your window, you always want time to be on your side when you're investing, right?
Yeah.
And so what he is basically saying for those that are beginning is what he did was he got in a position that gives him a very big window of time to be able to have success. Anytime that you limit your time, like if you absolutely have to have success in 12 months, you have much more risk because you have a much shorter timeline and there's a lot smaller margin of error, because the more errors you make will really set you back if you have to be in and out of that deal in 12 months. Eddie has 12 years. That's a long time. Eddie could actually make a lot of mistakes in this deal, and it would suck in the short term, but long term, it'll be an unbelievable deal. So time is to be on your side. That's awesome. So just kind of going to the valuation, what made this deal a good deal? And I know we kind of already covered that a little bit. So maybe just diving into more specifics, on top of you basically getting it for $60,000 a unit when it could have been for $78,000 a unit if it hit the open market.
Yep.
Is there also upside in the rents?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of the things, when we're evaluating deals, as operators, we're looking at, okay, what's the upside, right? So how's the area, right? So the location was really good. We were dealing with a mom and pop owner. This was actually their last property in their portfolio. So they went through dispositions on their whole portfolio with the exception of this one asset, right? This 148 unit. And this was like their golden nugget. They didn't want to sell this deal. That's why they kept it so long. So we just caught them at a really good time. But basically, they hadn't really been pushing rents, Justin. They had below market rents. But here's the thing: they were buy and hold investors. They had the mortgage paid off, so it's not like they weren't taking good care of the property. They took fantastic care of the property. It's just they didn't really have any incentive to really push the rents because it was more of a long-term play for them. But with this being their last deal, and with them being semi-retired, that's what they call themselves, semi-retired real estate investors. It was a good opportunity for us to capitalize on that huge rent delta that was there. So to give you some numbers, the average rents on the property when we bought it was around like $600, and we had underwritten for about $150 increase, and we ended up getting close to $300 increases. So we're leasing up right now at like $900. We're signing leases at $900.
So the crazy thing there is now you already day one had over $800,000 of equity for buying it off market. Now number two, which this is the same thing that we do. We're seeing the same thing on 372 units where we're getting like rent trade outs that they're increasing $250 to $400 per unit depending on unit type. But for you, if I take that $300 rent increase that you're seeing, I multiply it by 48. That's $14,400 of extra cash flow annually that you're going to get. But then on top of that, the actual value, when I put a cap rate to that, if I use a 6.5 cap rate, because that's what I'm considering for right now, that's another $120,000 of value that you're getting. So now that takes you for buying it off market, for then also being able to buy a deal that's cash flow positive day one. You can increase the rents up to market, meaning you're not out of the ordinary. You're not like people are like look at investors sometimes as a security guard. Sometimes people look at investors being bad people for raising the rents. And it's like, well, it's not like I'm raising them I'm just raising them to what they are across the street.
Correct.
I'm taking them to market. And so for doing that, you see another $200,000 of value, and you've already now baked in $1 million extra of value just from doing these two things correctly and positioning yourself the right way. That's
absolutely awesome. And we're also bringing value to the residents, right? So like Justin, as operators, we're fixing the parking lots, we're putting out new lighting, right? Updated lighting, we're changing out toilets, right? So, also as an investor, you have to have an opportunity to grow your revenue as well. So, it's about doing both, right? We're increasing the rents, but then also we're doing things to improve the community as well. So it's a win-win.
That's awesome. So again, anyone, and I know I got another couple of good questions here to ask Eddie, but again, anyone that is, wanting to learn all these steps, wanting to be able to go out and do this, wanting to be able to capitalize on the next few years where there's going to be the best opportunity since the early 2010s to be able to buy deals. Again, you can go to this offer that I've got up there. You can click, you can go fill out the form while you're listening along. If you click that form, it's just going to pop up another screen where you can fill out your information to schedule a 15-minute strategy call with me and to learn more about the mentorship opportunities that I offer and then also the masterminds that we have coming up. So just wanted to plug that again real quick. Go for it.
Can I just say something real quick? And this is just for everyone. So, I mean, just like my story, my first event I went to, it was an event like what Justin is having in January, right? And had I not went to that event, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to really get out and really get into real estate, right? So you got to think about it. At this event, you're going to be learning a ton from an industry leader for the next 3 days while you're there. Then also you're going to be networking with people like me, that you can learn from as well. So it's a ton of value here, guys. So I just wanted to just say that real quick.
And on top of it, like we've got 9 tickets left for this one coming up in January. We got 9 tickets left. So we don't have a ton of room. It's a small, intimate environment. Again, it's an awesome top floor hotel in Madison, Wisconsin. It's an awesome spot. And on top of that, like what Eddie said, I mean, there's gonna be other people in the room that are beginners. There's also the other half of the room that are very successful business people that are just learning the real estate game or already super successful in real estate. And just like what Eddie said, what was most valuable for me as well as I've paid to get into rooms, and I still pay to get into rooms, but now I pay a much larger number to get into rooms. I pay $90,000 to get in rooms. So, but it's the people that you always meet at these events that that can be very valuable as well, because I've seen other people partner up. I've seen other people just continue to be great resources for each other. So yeah, that's awesome. So I'm looking forward to those of you who take us up on that. You go out and fill out the survey, get that 15-minute strategy call with me on the books, and we'll get that thing rocking and rolling. But then jumping back into this presentation a little bit, that it takes us kind of to this next phase of what we were going to deliver to people today, which is talking about how you raised money and used other people's money to close the deal. So
yeah,
how much total equity, just you don't need to go into the whole backstory of it. Just give me the number, ballpark number. How much equity did you need to close this deal?
Yeah, so this deal we raised $1,242,000. So $1.242 million was the equity raise that we needed to close the deal, and the purchase price on the deal was $2.88 million.
So how much of that 1.2 million did you raise from investors, and how much did you put in?
So on this deal, I put in about 40K of my own money, and then all the rest of that came from investors.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing for me. I mean, each deal we do now, because I'm in a different spot than I was 10 years ago, I'm putting in $250,000 to $1 million into my own deals, whatever, each time. Or because we're 1031 forward, or a refinance event, even more than that. But I still do deals with no money down or very limited money down as well, because we use other people's money, which is a whole other topic of the mastermind and what we cover. How did you go about finding these investors?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I met Justin in 2018, the same things I was learning from him then, like getting your brand out there, telling everyone what you do. I was doing that from 2018, 19, 20 up until 2021 when I bought this deal, right? So I had accumulated a list of about like 300 potential investors during that time frame. So at that point, it was nurturing that list and just telling them about the opportunity, right? So whether that be a call to them, or a text message, or having them within my my CRM, like through like email, right?
Real quick, how many of the investors did you know that were on your list, the 300? How many of them did you actually know prior to like starting this list?
I would say probably like 30%, about 30%. Yeah.
So yeah, really, and that's I would say that's probably pretty close to me, because I mean I grew up with where I grew up from, and there were some people that came to my mind then, and like other business owners in the area. But yeah, a lot of it, and especially as you grow, you at the mastermind and in my events and everything, I'm big on, you got to be able to get out there and share your story. So we really help people structure their stories, and your story is always evolving, but your story is going to be what positions you to be able to talk to anyone, to be able to talk to billionaires confidently, to be able to talk to billionaires confidently, to be able to talk to centi millionaires confidently, to be able to talk to deca millionaires and millionaires very confidently, and to be able to nurture those relationships over time. So now that I was just wondering how many, because like some people might hear, oh, Eddie, oh great, well Eddie knew 300 rich people. That's not the case. And probably the 30 people you knew probably didn't even have that much money, because that's how it was for me. Like I didn't have, like, the first people on my list didn't really have that much money. So what were you gonna say?
So I was gonna make a quick point. Of those 300 people, so this isn't 300 people that's saying, hey, I'm gonna invest in Eddie's deal. Of that 300 people, these are people I'm nurturing year over year. But of those 300, I may have gotten like 20 or 30 that wanted to actually come in on this deal, right? So it's not just about the one deal you're doing. If you're like me and Justin and you're trying to get to where we're going and continue to grow in real estate, a lot of these people, you're going to be building relationships with them year over year. You may not know, you may be nurturing someone for 5 years before they do their first deal with you, right? So those 300 people are just people I'm constantly like nurturing, and I'm keeping them abreast of what we're doing.
Well, that's how it was for me. My very first deal was friends and family, which if you can go that route, it's a great route to go. But I put 40,000 in that I had saved over. It took me forever to save that. And looking back, there's, now knowing what I know now, there would have been a different, better way for me to go structure that and do that. But I saved 40. And then I raised another 40 from family and friends. So that was my first one. Then my next one, people were just kind of watching me, and I had one investor on the next deal. And then the deal after that, I had 3 investors. And then it just kept growing and growing, because like Eddie said, you nurture the list that you start to create. And then all of a sudden too, on top of your story, people are just going to start asking you, and they're just going to start seeing what you're doing as well. And they're going to ask you to get on the list. I bet 50% of the list that I have right now of potential investors, first off, only maybe 10% of them have invested with us, but a huge majority of that list is actually gone to our website to sign up to be on our investor list, or they've asked me to put them on where I haven't even had to go out and, now it takes a little bit of time to get there, but with the right mentorship, with the right network, with the right step-by-step process, anybody can do this thing. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your color is. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Because the cool thing about the business world is that once you are committed, once you position yourself in the marketplace, and once you have success, nobody cares about any of that other stuff as long as you can perform. And that's the thing that I love that about sports, and I love that about business. It's just about the performance and the results, and anybody can go do it in what we do in real estate. Like, this is not Tesla. This is not SpaceX. Yeah. This is not creating some COVID vaccine or, whatever, and being in a pharmaceutical company, all that complex stuff. This is not crazy complex. You don't need an IQ that is off the charts to go do what we do in real estate.
Yeah. I mean, like I like this term, hardworking genius, man. Like, that's where the genius comes in, like that hardworking consistency. But I'm not no brain surgeon over here. So if I could do it, y'all could do it too. Yeah.
So that kind of takes me to what's like your exit strategy on this deal, and what is, I guess some of the questions that are up here, if you can kind of just go down that. I mean, estimated time to reposition, which, by the way, in real estate, it almost always costs more than you think and takes longer than you think. But when you buy things cash flow positive day one, it always works out in the end. Are you cost segregating this deal? How will you exit, to refinance, recapitalize, or sell? So you want to go through some of those and just let everyone know where you're at?
Absolutely. I'll just start from the top. So our exit strategy on this deal, when we underwrote it, was a 5 to 7 year hold. So that's what we had on our webinar presentation, and that's still the trajectory that we're going on right now. So it's a longer term hold. Now, if we do have like a opportunity where, it is an opportunity to get investors' money back earlier, we may explore that option. But everyone, was conditioned for a 5 to 7 year hold. So I think that's really important. When you are using other people's money, you want to set an expectation on how long it's going to take, to get that money back. So definitely, it was a 5 to 7 year hold. And then what was that second question? It was estimated cost to reposition. So the cost to reposition the deal was about $350K. So that's interior, exterior improvements, about $350K total, and then reserves and everything.
So I like how I said, everything costs more and takes longer than you think it's going to take. I have 4 deals that we have basically gone over our budget like 2x on our, and it also took us 2x longer. But all of those deals have been deals that have already returned all the capital to investors. So we got all of our money back out of the deal. They've already multiplied investors' equity, and we still have ownership in the deal. And that goes back to just talking about this reposition and how much it costs and all that stuff. You got to take care of the asset and take care of the residents, because they're going to pay that premium. They're going to want to stay there, and et cetera, et cetera. But by doing that, you're also just going to be able to win over the long term with the deal. And so did you, with how much you're looking like it's going to spend for you to reposition, do you think you're going to end up going over budget? Or do you think you'll be under or right at? How do you think you're going to
fall? Based off our terms, I mean, we're doing pretty good. I think that whole time of 7 years, that may go down to like maybe 5, but as far as like our unit turns and everything, is going pretty well. Like so far, we've had to replace, I think, about 2 or 3 HVAC systems. I went in the deal thinking that it would have been like 10-year one. We've been doing a really good job, like the management side of it, of like taking care of deferred maintenance and, things that can, make the life of some things last longer. So we've been putting in a lot of dollars towards that. But yeah, I mean, we had some stuff that went over budget. Like for instance, our water bill, right? Our water bill like almost doubled from what we underwrote at, right? So we had to change out all the toilets, do a lot of water conservation. We had some leak detection companies come out, but that was like a huge thing that we didn't expect to happen. That just happened, in that first couple months, right? So the thing about it is, like what Justin said, things are going to happen when you're owning these deals, but it's how you respond and how you deal with those issues. That's what your investors, really respect. When we did have a water bill come up that was higher than usual, we had an investor meeting. We went on a Zoom call and we told them like, hey, we encountered this issue. Here's how we're working through it. and then you're going to see a change. And that's exactly what happened. So we changed out the toilets. We went with low flow, and then
I mean,
we had some
things happen too, because like our utility bills are through the roof because of inflation, all this stuff. So our energy bills are crazy high too.
Yeah.
You go back to, is it maybe short-term pain right now, or whatever. Yeah. And whatever you think, like going into a deal, whatever you think is going to go wrong isn't actually the thing that goes wrong. It's always a thing you never actually think of on that specific deal that goes wrong.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is again, going back to when you do this right, you're getting into the deals with significant equity, cash flow day one. So these problems you can overcome. It's not like a startup. Like in a startup where you have no revenue, or in some other business where you got no revenue, and then you come across an issue that you didn't foresee, now what? Because now you're having to scramble to raise more money or take a loan or whatever. When these things happen in real estate, yeah, maybe for the short term, the distribution comes down, the monthly cash flow to investors, maybe that goes down $100 a month for 5 or 6 or 10 months till you correct the issue, right? So that's just a very powerful thing too, because the way that Eddie and I go about buying real estate is everything is cash flow positive day one, so that way we can handle the unforeseen things that come up.
100%, 100%. And then
are you doing so for anyone watching, I've got a question here. Are you doing just a quick yes or no answer? Is all I need. Are you cost segregating this deal?
Yes. Yeah, we did complete a cost seg study when we purchased the deal, and we were able to get bonus depreciation there.
For anyone, basically what a cost seg does, it allows you to accelerate depreciation, and depreciation is not actually an expense. So in real estate, because of cost segregations, because of depreciation, I've actually been able to, I've only paid state and Fed income tax 4 or 5 of the last 6 years. So that's because of cost segregation. That's another benefit of real estate. While it's paying me cash flow every single month, it's a huge benefit. So
it was huge. We actually had investors like text me and say, "Oh, wow, I didn't realize we were going to get so much depreciation back." So that was a huge thing. That's a huge thing to implement. Yeah.
And our investors, they've called too, like the people that have first time call with us, they'll be like, "Wait, so I just got everything okay? They're like, wait, so I just got $2,500 a month for the last 12 months." And I got my tax return and it's showing a negative $286,000. Why? So what that does is the deal paid them, but it shows up on their tax return, and our tax returns as negative $286,000 because of the depreciation. And the cool thing about that is if you have other real estate investments that you've used up the depreciation, or you have other investments or other passive income, the losses in real estate can offset it. So you hear about Trump, you hear about Stephen Ross, you hear about these guys not paying taxes. And the reason why Trump doesn't want his tax returns released is because the public isn't going to, their mind's going to fucking blow when he truly hasn't paid taxes in 15 of 17 years because of using depreciation. And then everything's going to blow up because people just won't, their mind will be, they'll call him a fraud, they'll call him a fake, they'll call him a phony. The same thing with me. If I ever run for politics, people are going to want my tax returns released. Because I haven't paid state or and again, I'm not breaking any rules. I'm playing within the boundaries, and I'm playing by the rules. I'm just making sure I pay attention to the rules, and then I use them to my advantage. That's all. But the cost segregation study, that's what I was asking if you did that or not.
That's a huge. That's a great point. I mean, for investors, a lot of these investors that we're bringing in, high net worth individuals, a lot of them don't have an income problem; they have a tax problem, right? So the cost seg study is a great way for them to, offset some of that earned income and pay less or have a lower tax obligation. So,
so the cost. And that's a really good point what you just said, because most of the people coming in do have a tax problem, not an income problem. I 100%, and that's why that's why it's actually easier to work with people. Like it's easier for me to go get a $5 million check than it is like a $50,000 check usually, because the person that can write a $5 million check is looking for ways to dump the $5 million somewhere, still get paid on it, that will give them a tax loss on paper to offset other income, right? So it's really actually pretty easy once you get going and have a track record to attract other investors, because they're looking for tools to increase cash flow, to preserve wealth, multiply wealth, but also they're looking for tax solutions, and that's what this provides. So the 100%. Cost segregation that we just talked about is not necessarily something that a beginner would be like necessarily get excited about. But the thing that a beginner should get excited about is if you start and buy your first deal 6 months from now, the great thing about the cost seg and the tax savings is by the time you use up some of that depreciation, by the time that deal is really cranking 2 or 3 years from when you buy it, you'll buy a new deal that'll have new depreciation that will offset your profits on the property that you've had longer that is starting to show a positive taxable income. So you can always be able to defer taxes. There's a lot of awesome tricks there. So it's nothing that we need to get crazy in the weeds of. And in fact, I understand everything very, very high level of how it works. But that's why you're in these cash flow producing vehicles. I have an accounting team that we pay, good money to, but compared to what we pay them, like they're getting us huge tax breaks. So it's a no brainer to pay them 50 grand across, we've got a lot of assets. So we pay our people a lot, but the return on that is significant when you don't have to pay the tax and you're doing that the right way.
And then quick thing to add to that, Justin, everyone on the call, you don't have to be accountant or a tax preparer to understand this stuff. You just need to have the right person on your team, right? So both Justin and I, we're not CPAs or anything like that, right? But we have people on our team that knows how to do this stuff, right? So don't
you also don't have to know how to change the toilet, because I don't know how to change the toilet. I promise I don't. When I bought my first 4-unit, I'm like, man, I basically did the marketing, I did the advertising, I did the showings, I did the lease signings, I collected rent, I evicted people, I did everything. And the first time that I tried to go put new cabinets in, a new toilet in, I got frustrated. I threw the hammer, which caused another hole in the drywall. I had to have someone come pack, right? And so from then on, I'm like, I'll find other good people to go do it. And that's what I did. Right. And so I basically, in that first deal, I started to just stick to the final of sweeping and vacuuming and the changing the light bulbs. That's all I did. So you also don't have to think that, hey, I can go out, you don't have to know all this maintenance stuff either. You don't have to know all the property management stuff. If you do, great, but you don't have to be an investor. You don't have to do what Eddie and I did and start a property management company. That's an option you have to make more money and have other income streams, but you don't have to. You can have a property management company do it. You can hire a team to do that stuff too, that's their strength. So the big thing is to be able to get invested, to understand how the investment part works, how to find the right deal. That's the key stuff. And that's what we're all about here. So let me pop back into this presentation. I think we've covered just about everything today. So again, just going through this mastermind, I mean, those of you, we got, again, 9 tickets left. We're going to sell this thing out. I'm determined. You can see the hotel that we're having it at. It's the penthouse there, right on the lake, right downtown Madison. It's an awesome place. January 12th to the 14th, 2023. It's a 3-day in-person event with me. You guys, everyone there is going to get a step-by-step playbook. I'm going to show basically how I went from 0 to my first deal, 0 to my next couple deals, 0 to, we're at 1,800 units right now. So I rounded up and said 2,000 here and beyond. I'm going to show how I'm going to get to 20,000 units. That's all included. How to find deals, how to fund deals, how to operate deals, how to exit deals. There's step-by-step processes through all this stuff that you're going to be able to add to your playbook. You're going to get I think I have right now 16 on top of the playbook that right now is 150 pages long. On top of that, which we're going to go through the playbook at the mastermind, right? So you're going to leave with a plan. But then on top of the playbook, I've got about 16 exhibits that you're going to get. So you're going to get our letter of intents. You're going to get our offers to purchase. You're going to get all these other exhibits that are going to be great tools for you to go out and get started that you can use as templates to go out and do what you need to do. We're going to have opportunities for Q&A there at the mastermind. We're going to have opportunities to go over deals. VIPs get 2 dinners with me. So a VIP ticket is an option that you can go and get. And again, it's going to be a small exclusive event. We're going to have 30 people at this event. So it's not like you're going to be in the crowd of 300, 500, 1,000 people. That's some other event that maybe we'll have one day. But this is going to be a small, intimate group. And the sense of urgency is, I'm going to throw these couple things out there. We got 9 tickets left for this one. The marketers who are helping me market these things into the future are telling me that I'm way under market for this type of intimate event. So the pricing is very much going to go up for our following mastermind events that are only 30 people. So that's a driver that I should just mention. The other thing to bring up again is this is a great time to get yourself in a position to learn to know how to do this because of the deals that are going to be coming over the next 6 months to 2 years to 3 years, to be able to build that foundation that you haven't been able to build over the last 3, 4, 5 years because of how crazy the market's been, how crazy white hot it's been, and how competitive it's been. It's not going to be as competitive here for a couple years. So a lot of beginners are going to be able to get in and plant their flag and to begin growing their wealth. So if you haven't done so yet, please, leave a chat if you guys don't see where this offer is, because I've got the offer. You guys should be able to see it, and you guys should be able to book your strategy call right now. If you can't see that or don't see that anywhere, please leave a comment right now, and we'll make sure that you get access to it and everything. But go on there, fill the survey out. Let's get the 15-minute strategy call with me on the books, and let's and then Leon here in the chat just mentioned about the 20 hacks to get investors. He's posting the link. Leon, you have to let me know. You have to text me or let me know or something if I can pin that somehow or something. So I want to make sure everyone gets the link to the PDF of the 20 hacks to get investors. But again, go and if you're that confident that this is what you want to do and you want to just skip the strategy session because you want to take advantage of one of the 9 tickets, go to mastermind.justinspalding.com/2023. And that's going to take you right to where you can buy your ticket and everything. And again, there's 9 tickets left. So that being said, what other questions? And Leon, just let me see if I can pin this. I wonder if I have to. Let me. I'm going to try to copy and paste what Leon put here to see if I can pin this comment. Let me pin this. Doesn't look like I can pin it, but I just put the Leon and myself. We just put the link up where you guys can go and you can print out that page with the 20 hacks to get investors. So again, the mastermind is what's going on here? Where's my presentation? The mastermind is January 12th through the 14th. Madison, Wisconsin, 3-day in-person event. We've got an executive ticket, a VIP ticket. And we, again, intimate environment. Eddie's going to be there. A lot of other people that own, I would say there's going to be other people there that own 10 to 100 units. I know there's going to be a couple other guys that have some huge businesses there that have invested with a couple $100,000 with me across multiple deals. They're going to be there because they just want more time with me and because they want to learn more about this thing. So they're going to be contacts in the room. And then there's going to be other people, if you're brand new and don't know a thing, like this is still for you. We still have people signing up who don't know anything because I'm starting at ground. This is 3 days. I'm starting and I'm doing the whole thing all the way through step by step of how I went and did this. Mm-hmm. So go and book that, take us up on that offer, book the call, book the 15-minute strategy session with me. We'll talk strategy a little bit for you. We'll get you your mastermind ticket at that point. If you're confident enough in what we're talking about here, you believe in me enough, you believe in what Eddie's saying enough, you're wanting something different in life, you're wanting to get out of the rat race, you're wanting to build cash flow, you're wanting to have more options, potentially more freedom, more ability to travel, more ability to take care of your family, more ability to put money into your community, and you think real estate's the vehicle, and you're confident in what we're doing, go to mastermind.justinspalding.com/2023, and you can order your ticket right now and skip the 15-minute strategy session. If you want the 15-minute strategy session, you can go and sign up through that offer. That being said, do we have any other questions? I know Eddie's answering some questions here in the chat. I want to be able to take time to answer some questions. I'm going to scroll back down. And so Alan asked, how would you find the deal? Would you door knock or target apartment owners and ask them if they'd be interested in selling? So Alan, there's a lot of ways to do this. And we have a step-by-step framework that we go through in the mentorship and mastermind. But really, like, what worked best for me was by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. The big thing is you need to be able to collect. You need to be able to collect the addresses. And then from there, yes, you're able to door knock. You're able to call the owners. You're able to do a lot of things. And it takes time. But by just having that database, because like Eddie said, I think he's built a database of, like you said, hundreds of properties, and I've done the same thing. Mm-hmm. And over time, like, you'd be surprised actually how fast you will make traction. You go and make 100 phone calls. Once you have a database, you'll find 1 or 2 or 3 properties for sure that you'll be able to buy. But then as you nurture those through time, more of them just start to come through the other end of the pipeline. Negotiating. Oh, awesome. Anthony's negotiating a 43 unit right now. Anthony, I hope you're going to take me up on that 15-minute call. Joseph said, never buy long-term assets with short-term debt. Yeah, I think that's great. A great point. Another question was, how much did you raise for this project? 30%, and what investment terms you provide to your investors? So I think that was covered, other than Eddie, what were the investment terms for your investors?
Yeah, so we did it's a 70-30 split. So 30 to the GP, 70 to LP. Similar to your split, Justin. It was basically the same structure. We had a 6% preferred return, and then we had a waterfall. Well, basically, yeah, 6% preferred, then it goes 70-30 on the split of cash flow. But then we had a separate event on sales where we have to get up to a 12% average annualized return, and then it splits 50-50 after that. So throughout the whole period, it's a 6 pref and then 70-30.
And I mean,
just simple.
And this is a cool. This is a cool thing about that question. There are a million, like, there are infinite ways to structure deals with investors. You can literally just take like loans that you say, hey, I'm going to pay you 10%, and then in 3 years I'm going to get you all your money back, and that way you could keep 100% equity of the deal. You can do deals where you bring 10% of the equity, but you I might lose internet here coming up in a couple seconds, but you might be able to do let me go start the truck. Eddie, you can talk for a second. I got to restart the truck.
Yeah. Parked right. Okay. Yeah, no problem. So just going over some questions here in the chat. So Reese Phillips asked how to finance deals in a high interest environment. So yeah, right now, we are, in a place in the market where it is more difficult to find good debt. Fortunately, the prices are going down on deals, to reflect that. I would definitely say, how to finance them is typically people are going with more agency products right now, more bridge products. They're not as popular. So, with the agency, they are offering less leverage. So you are going to have to, basically put more down on the deal, right? So you are going to have to put more capital into the deal to get it done. So even on the last deal that we purchased, we ended up putting in, almost more than the bank, because we had less leverage on the deal. So that's just answering, Justin. We just had a quick question in the chat. One of the listeners were asking, how to structure debt in this high interest environment. I was just explaining to him, in some cases you may have to put down more equity, to get a deal to work, because banks are starting to cut down a little bit more on leverage. Yeah, that was one question we had there.
Yeah, and I just had to restart the thing, so I lost all the chat. But just going back to what I said, I mean, I've done deals before where I put zero of my own money in, and I straight up kept 72% of the deal. And that deal, I turned $0. It was just time and effort. I turned $0 into over $1 million for me in 30 months off of one deal. And that was just how we structured with investors. But our investor also, they 3x'd their money in that deal. So there's so many different ways to get people to invest with you, and so many different ways to set that up. It's limitless. It's just how creative can you be, and then how good are you, because the market will also tell you, and that just takes time. Leon, it looks like someone's saying the strategy call link isn't working. I don't know if that's true for everyone or not, but Eddie, do you want to just go back through and just read another question?
Yeah. So we have another question from Devin here. So how challenging was it to find an agency debt provider without a ton of experience being in big deals?
It's off of, so there's mortgage brokers out there that will take care of this for you. It's all about the deal. So if you find the deal, there will be a solution. Might you have to end up find another partner that can sign on some debt covenants with you? You might have to, but you also might not have to. And if you do, don't worry, because there's a lot of people out there who, and we'll show you how to do this as well. There's a lot of people out there who will sign on that debt and help you get that debt for a sliver of the upside in the deal. Yeah. Plenty of people. The world is full of hundreds of thousands of people that will do that. So that's.
Can I add to that too? Yeah. That was a great. And to that point, what Justin just said, Devin, basically, on that deal that I did also, I didn't have, so the requirement from the bank was $2 million in net worth. So a net worth equal to the loan amount. I didn't have all of that. So what I did was, like what Justin said, found a partner. They got a slice of the GP, and our net worths combined equal to the loan amount that we had on the deal, right? So a lot of it is not like, it's who you know too. You need to find the right people that can come in and, fill those gaps.
And you find those people by networking events, like event like my mastermind or event. I mean, there's hundreds of events that you can go to be able to just link up with other people that will literally just sign on. Like that will just sign on the line with you as long as like you start to build a relationship. But I mean, over the course of it could even be as quick as 3 months, 6 months, because money and deals talk. And so if you know what you're doing, that puts you in a powerful position where other doors that might not have been open to you prior start to open up. And it looks like, I'm not sure if all of you had the experience where you guys went to book the call and it wasn't working, but I know Leon just put it again in the chat. And I know I just opened it and it is working. So just let us know if you're still having issues. We'll make sure that gets taken care of. The other website that you can go to is mastermind.Justin Spalding. I'll put that in the thing here too. .com/2023. Why is that not showing up here? Spell it wrong? Well, you just have to copy and paste it. For some reason, it does not convert to a link in here. I don't know if that's user error like me and not using the technology right or what. But Eddie, what's another question that we had there? You can go to that mastermind.JustinSpalding.com/2023. The link that I just put there. If you want to just straight up skip the booking call to take one of the last 9 tickets that we have available, you can just fill out that information and literally buy your executive or VIP ticket right there.
Justin,
Eddie,
I think we knocked out majority of the questions. We had a quick question here. I guess this can be for both of us. Do you do any land acquisition / ground up development or strictly acquisitions? I'll answer just, go ahead, Justin.
So I was gonna say, so no, I don't. I don't do that, any of that stuff right now. And the reason that I don't yet is I look at, again, cash flow positive day one. Like, imagine if you would have stuck a shovel in the ground in a construction loan because a lot of construction loans are variable rate. So imagine if you would have stuck a shovel in the ground right before interest rates gone up, and that thing's not gonna be done yet for another 8 months. And now things have changed so much. And usually when construction is done, you have to refinance out into a different loan. There's a lot of people there that have a lot of risk out there. And so it just, for me, I'm like, until I can take a huge hit and just completely lose a project and have it be my own money, I'm not doing any of that stuff. So I happen to have a little bit of vacant land. The only reason I have vacant land is because the guy that sold me some of the storage units, he had a vacant piece of land that was attached to it. He wanted to sell the vacant piece of land with the storage units so he wouldn't have to worry about selling that later. So he just basically added, I can't remember, $100,000 to the price. And I'm like, yeah, let's just do it. When we sold the storage units, the guy did not want the vacant piece of land, and I'm like, whatever. Like, it's paid free and clear. We have a vacant piece of land that's probably worth $250,000 that I'll probably, I don't know, I don't even think about it because all I have to pay is real estate taxes. But it's not a benefit to have, so I don't recommend going to do it. I don't just go looking for vacant land because, again, I'm looking for cash flow, right?
Yeah, I would say, for me, I did have one piece of land that I own that I sold in 2021. Or was it 2020? Yeah, that was the one and only land deal I did. But I'm happy to say that one was like an international land deal. I'm from Bahamas, so that was a piece of land I owned back home that I sold. That was the first and last land deal I've done. Since then, it's just been very focused on acquisitions like multifamily existing. That's just been my focus right now. And then also building out the property management company, in proportion to that.
Yep. Anthony asked, what can I build on the land? The land that I have, I can build, I could probably build anything. But again, I'm not looking to do that because I don't want to be in a project where I'm like having cash go out. Like, I love cash flow. I want cash coming in, right? So like right now, I'm not even looking to build. I'm potentially looking to just list it and just dump it. And I don't even care if I like almost for half the value, whatever. I'd rather almost convert it to cash and go do something else with the cash. That's my mindset. Doesn't mean it's right, but again, I look for, like, my book is called The Sure Thing, like my mastermind, Justin Spalding, The Sure Thing Mastermind. I look for the sure thing. And when we can get into an asset like we've talked about on this, where it's cash flow positive day one, potentially $800,000 of equity sitting there because we bought it off market, potentially another $200,000 to $500,000 to $1 million of equity sitting there because we can raise rents, I'm going to do that all day over the vacant land thing. To go back to Eddie's story where he talked about he can bump rents. He could bump rents. We were talking like the $200 a month or whatever. The 372 units that we basically had $5 million of equity built in for buying it off market. The 372 units on average were about $300 a month short of where they could be. When I do $300 times 372, that's an extra $111,000 of cash flow annually. When I divide that by the cap rate, which is how you evaluate properties, it's another increase of just about $2 million. So now we got, for buying it off market, basically have $5 million of equity automatically. And then for buying the right deal that had under market rents that we can take to market, we're going to see another $2 million, let alone the appreciation we're going to see on the deal over 7 years as well, right? So we basically got $7 million for sure sitting there as equity. A lot of cash flow day one. And we're looking to basically, we bought that deal for $42 million. Could have turned around and sold it right away back then, 47, 48 million. Today, if I listed it, probably down to 45, 44 million. But it's cash flow. It's just cash flow in like crazy. We're looking to be able to take that deal. My projections, and I think that we're going to be able to actually surpass those projections, is we'll sell that deal for $70 million. We'll sell it for $70 million sometime between 6 and 12 years from right now. So you look at that, it's $35 million off one deal that we bought off market. Now, if that's not worth the price of admission to get into some of these rooms, I don't know what else motivates you to be able to do that. Leonard asked, yeah, Anthony, it's in Wisconsin. Cap rates around here they hit as tight as high 3s, but a lot of it more average was like mid 4s, but we never bought anything under 5.7% cap rate. The way that, again, the structure that we use, the steps that we use, we were always between 5.7 to 6.5 when people were at high 3s for brand new product or mid 4s for traditional type product. Leonard asked, how much cash flow are you looking for per unit? I don't look at I don't even know my per unit cash flow. It's more of a percentage I look at. And at the deal level, we look for at least 8% year one. But we'll buy a deal that cash flow is positive 1%. You know, when I look at it like 1% as is with the purchase price, if we can raise the rents $400 a month, right? So I don't necessarily need a ton of cash flow day one. I just at least need cash flow day one, and then be able to increase the value on that because of rent disparity. And again, that's something we talk about too, how to find the deals with rent disparity, meaning the deal that, you know, we bought a deal a year and a half ago where it was $1,200 a month. The property right across the street, which was a little bit like 5 years newer was $600 more than that a month. We talk about how you find and position yourself to be able to get those deals. Eddie, I don't 100%. Know if you have anything else to add on that.
I was just going to say, yeah, real quick on the cash flow question. That metric or that way of viewing it is typically, you know, how it's done with smaller units. You know, so I've heard more about like a per unit cash flow when you're looking at a duplex or a 4-unit. When I was buying deals that size, I was looking at about like $250 to $300 per unit in cash flow. But to Justin's point, you know, as you start getting into larger transactions, you know, those 4 investment returns usually are paramount. The IRR, cash on cash, average annualized return, and equity multiple. But with the smaller deals, you know, I'd say like 250 to 300 is what I used to use back in like 2017. So that may have changed since then.
Well, I mean, I can do the math on it quick, actually, now that I think about it. So we raised $10 million for that deal, and it's paying that divided by. So we look for like annually, we look for about $2,000 of cash flow as ideal per unit. If my math is correct there. Does that seem right, Eddie, or does that seem crazy high?
Just a little high. That seemed like
so. Let's see. We raised $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be set to pay about 7.5% of that this year of cash flow on the 10 million raised. That was 372 units.
Mm-hmm. That's like, wait, no, I did that wrong. Go ahead.
Divided by, so about 2,000. That's
2,000.
So we did one deal in May that's paying like right now $2,000 a door cash flow. That's what it'll pay year one.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It seems freaking high, but that's the math on it. I mean, that's what's we're paying right now. So now I think obviously that what helps us there, that's scale, right? So I don't think that you're going to find that in a duplex, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The first thing is you need to learn everything that you need to do, and then you got to find a way to get your foot in the door. So you hear Eddie talking about a 48 unit, you hear me talking about 372 units, but when you start, it doesn't have to be 40 units. When you start, it doesn't have to be 372 units. You got to remember, my first property was a 4-unit, right? You need to find a way to get your foot in the door. But now what that 4-unit turned into I was able to refi the 4-unit, buy the 4-unit next door. Then I sold the 8 units that I had, and that 8 units I 1031 exchange, so I didn't have to pay. 1031 exchanges when you sell a property, you can roll forward the profits into the next deal and not pay any tax. I rolled all that money into a 47 unit. So 4 units turned into 8 units. Then I sold the 8 units and I rolled it into a 47 unit property. And I raised some extra money for that 47 unit property, but I own I think 78% of that from the money that I rolled forward. So I'm the biggest investor in that deal, all from starting from a 4 unit. And then I was willing to, refinance it by the 4 unit next door, sell those deals, right? And then reinvest everything. I didn't go buy a fancy car. Once you have money invested, you never want to spend the money that's invested. So if you buy a deal and if you sell a deal, if you buy a deal and refinance it, those proceeds that you pull out, they should always be reinvested into the next deal that's a bigger deal, and you should scale up as you go.
100%.
Because then what you do is the cash flow we're talking about here, the cash flow is what you can go buy. Like if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I'm showing a lake house that we live in. That's paid for in cash flow. That's if I stopped working, our family would be able to keep that house because the real estate's still going to work. The real estate's still going to pay my wife, my daughter, and that it's still going to pay for the mortgage there 10 times over again each month or more than that. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. That's just a little tangent. What I wanted is basically the point I wanted to make with that was you don't need to start huge. You just need to find a way to get your foot in the door and understand the game and understand how money. This is a rigged game. People don't think it's rigged. It's a rigged game. I benefited a lot during COVID because it's a rigged game because I wanted to be at the tier that was getting benefits off all this stuff because I understood 10, 15 years ago that it's a rigged game. Mm-hmm. And I don't agree with everything that goes on, but I'm going to play the game. And part of playing the game is understanding how money truly works. The banks, the government, they want you to think your single family home is an asset. The single family home that I paid $1.5 million for on the lake is not an asset. It is the biggest pain in the ass liability that I have. But it's paid for with cash flow.
Cash flow. Yeah.
I gotta fix a freaking boathouse that's collapsing in. So all this stuff happens when you have these, what people call assets. People call, I had a friend the other day said he went to a car dealership and the guy's there's trying to sell him, said, man, the car's an asset. Well, it is from the standpoint of getting from point A to point B and to be able to make that sale if you have to go from A to B, but it's not an asset. Like it's not actually paying you cash flow every single month.
As soon as you're driving off that lot, it's losing value.
It's losing value, right? So you need to not take money and you need to not take the money that you could be investing and buy a car. You need to invest the money and then take the cash flow and have the cash flow pay the car note, pay the car maintenance, pay the car insurance. You need to play the money game the right way because when you do it, all of a sudden your tax bill is a lot less and your monthly cash income of, your monthly cash flow coming in is significantly more. What other questions? Do we have any other questions? Because if we don't have any other questions,
Justin, real quick on that same point you were making, you think it may make sense to mention, the fact that people can invest passively in some of these deals too, because you may have some people that may be stuck with that 9 to 5 and are looking to get in a deal quickly, like with you on one of your deals.
And that's the other thing too. Like so with us, you got to be accredited. I don't know about Eddie, but there's always people like Eddie and me who, there's people that come to my masterminds like, man, I just wanted to see, learn about this, but I actually just want to invest with you, which that's an option too. You can hit up Eddie, you can hit up me. We're going to have deals. I don't have any deals currently because we're on the sidelines probably for another 3 to 5 months. And then there's going to be some deals coming like I've been talking about. But that's another option too, is you don't actually even have to run this thing. You could just be an investor, but in that sense, it's still your hard-earned money that you're putting to work. So you still should understand the game.
Yeah.
You still should be at the mastermind because you still should understand what the people are doing with your money. You should, you need to understand the game. You need to understand where your money's at. That's why I don't have any money. I have zero money in stocks. I have zero money in a 401k, a Roth. I have zero money there. I have all my money in my own businesses and in real estate. I take all my earned income, every single penny of my earned income, and I invest it in real estate. And it's the cash flow that pays for a trip. It's a cash flow that pays for Packer tickets. It's a cash flow that pays for my family's Christmas gifts. It's the cash flow that pays for everything else. Another thing, if I graduated school with $65,000 of student loan debt, guess what? I still have student loan debt. People are telling me, man, you should take this income and pay off your debt. I'm like, I want to take my income and put it into an investment vehicle that's going to pay me forever. I want to play offense. I can pay off that debt at any time, but I can't go back and reinvest in a deal and make up for lost time where my money's not compounding. So that's another like hack that I talk about the mastermind, and I go way in depth of why you should do it. And actually another reason why is because maybe my debt that I have remaining might be forgiven. I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of the positives, right?
Joe Biden, I don't agree with it. He should not forgive my debt. He should not. But if I wake up and it's at zero, it might happen. And then I'm going to go back to those people that told me to pay off the debt. Say, hey, you paid off all your debt. How'd that go for you? Because I took that $300,000 I made from that one gig, and I didn't pay off my debts. I invested all in the 4 unit. Let me tell you what that's turned into.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to know. You need the knowledge, and you need to implement what you learn, and you need the knowledge that you can do it correctly. Because when I go broke, meaning when I take all my savings that I've stashed up and put into a deal, I know what I'm doing. I'm not gambling. I'm not going to the poker table. I'm not putting it in the stock market and going like this. I wish that I could just write a bigger check into that deal, because I know what I'm doing. I know what to look for. I know what to pay attention to. I know how to structure it. I know the terms that I need. I know how the money game works. And it was all because of an education in getting into the right rooms. So just a reminder, go to the link, schedule your call. I know Leon is watching how many people have signed up. I know we've got a handful of people have already signed up for the calls. So go to book your strategy call. Go do that right now, because I know that the strategy calls will start to take place here over the coming days. I'm excited to talk to some of you guys. It will be me that you're going to talk to. It's not going to be someone at my office, another sales guy at my office. It's not going to be Eddie. It's not going to be, although some of you maybe prefer to talk to Eddie, I don't know, but it's not going to be anyone else. It's going to be me. You're going to get my voice. I'm going to be the person that picks up the phone and calls you. It's going to be a 15-minute session. Are we going to talk about the mastermind? Yeah, we're going to probably talk about the mastermind, but we're going to be able to talk for 10, 15 minutes about the strategy that you need to go out and do this thing with all these deals that are going to come and be around here in the next handful of months and handful of years. Mm-hmm. So that being said, does anyone else have any other questions? Because we're going to wrap this one up, because I got to head into this thing that I got to take care
and
of.
Also, real quick, Justin, I just want to point out, like Justin said, I'm gonna be at the mastermind too. So, if you're on this call, and you attend the event, when you see me in person, make sure to just, hail me up, so I can talk to you and get to know you. So I'm gonna be there. And then also, Justin, I just want to extend this to your audience. If you want to connect me with some people, if they want to, hear more about how it's been like following you for all of these years I've been following you, feel free. You can do that as well. Yeah.
What I'll do in my Instagram is I'll tag you again after this, Eddie, in a post. And if you guys haven't done so yet and you're still on here and you want to take a picture and share this thing,
let me get one. Yeah, I'm gonna get one too.
Here, I'm gonna get this thing down.
Yep. All right.
You guys can post that, tag me. That'd be great. I'll tag Eddie, so you guys can go to my Instagram. You guys can follow Eddie, because he posts a lot of great stuff too. The last thing that I'll leave you with this the mastermind. Someone asked about the ticket and the price, and I mean, we have products that are obviously $0 all the way up to, I have a $100,000 product, everything in between. I've got an $8 million product. I have an $8 million product because I've got an investor that's written me an $8 million check before for one single deal. So I've got products that are free, which are on my Instagram, on my YouTube, all the way up to $8 million. Someone asked what the price ticket is for mentorship and the mastermind. We have different levels in there. So that's why you need to set up the strategy call, or go to the mastermind link to buy your ticket. And that's where you're going to see the different options. In our strategy call, we can talk about the different options and what makes sense for you, right? Not everyone is going to be at the same level. I know that there's going to be people in here that'll buy the $100,000 ticket item. I know there's some people that are going to go stick in the free item. I know there's some people that are going to buy a $2,000 ticket item, or a $500 ticket item, or a $7,000 ticket item, or a $25,000 ticket item. But what I always tell people is, what is it worth to you if you can cut the time it takes for you to reach your goal in real estate or investing or in cash flow? What is it worth to you if you can do it in half the time or in a quarter of the time? What would it be worth to you? Because I promise, whatever I'm going to charge you is not anywhere close to the dollar amount that you just said in your head. If Eddie's goal is to reach 1,000 units and Eddie thinks that's going to take 20 years to do, Eddie, what's the price on if you could reach that 1,000 units instead of 20 years and you could do it in 5 years? Like what is that value? If you know, you know, what would that be worth?
It's commas, man. It's a lot of commas, man. It's, you know, and here's the thing.
That's worth, literally, it's commas. It's worth millions of dollars.
Millions, yeah, correct. And I was just gonna say, as you continue doing this and you start like doing deals, like you're saving yourself time in life too. So and time is one of the most valuable resources there is, right? It is the most valuable resource there is. So if you can hop in, you know, earlier this year I went to Wisconsin for about like 3 hours to spend some time with Justin. Y'all are gonna get like 3 whole days with him, right? So if you can compress, you know, the amount of things that you can learn to exponentially like get you to the next level in a short amount of time, you're actually going to be saving yourself time in the long run. So you can't put a price tag on that, right? Getting in the right rooms with people like Justin, people like me, you know, is going to push you to the next level and get you where you need to go for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Are there any other questions? I'm going to give you like 10 more seconds and I got to roll. You know, I thank you guys so much for joining us. I'm in the car. I didn't say this at the beginning because I didn't want people to be like, oh, what's going on? I got a call this morning. My grandpa's in the hospital. So we're in the hospital parking lot right now. So I'm going to wrap up and go in there, but I didn't want to, my team and everyone was like, do you want to reschedule this, push this back? And I said, no, you know what? I committed to this. We had to push one back, 2 months ago, a webinar we did. And I didn't want to push that back because I know you guys might have, I know some people off work, like literally will take off work to come to some of my stuff or to attend some of my webinars and stuff. So I didn't want you guys to miss out on that. So thank you guys for following up, and yeah, man, we'll try to have a good rest of our day here. And thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys. Take care. All right, Justin.
See you, Eddie. See you guys.